Hello, welcome back. Okay, in the previous class we look at how to set up this database. So today we'll be looking at how to send information into this database using PHP. Previously we just looked at how you can do it from the MySQL platform. So all I'm just going to do is come back to my code, then create a new file. So I'll just say I'm creating a registration so that user will be able to register.php. This is .php. Then there I'll create login. So login.php. Okay, so I have these two guys. Okay, so in here I'm going to put my HTML boilerplate, then this will be login. So yeah, just going to do section, then div, then I have my form. Okay, so in here I'm going to I want full name, email, password, then phone number. So these are the input field I need. So I'll do a label, then full name, then here I'll do full name. So I'm just trying to do how it looks like in a real world application. So I'm going to do an input, then this will be text. So let me just do a placeholder here. Then I'm going to include full name. Okay, let me just put this in a div so that it's easier for me to separate them. Okay, I'm just going to copy these guys and repeat them multiple times. So 1, 2, 3. So full name, email. So I'm going to come here and change this to email. Then I'm going to also change this to email. Then this will be password. And let me just do phone number. So phone number. Let me just leave this to be text. I can change that to number if I want to. So I'll just say phone number. Then the last one will be email. So email, then I'll just come here and do email. So that should be password. I've done email. Password, then here password, then here password. So if I come here, so let me just go to that localhost /php /register.php. Okay, these are not okay, so let me just quickly do some break tag here to bring them all on different lines. So copy this, put it here. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to do some couple of CSS to make my work a little bit better. So I'm going to do them inside. So I'm going to use the style attributes, and I'm going to close the style attribute. The style tag, sorry for that. So the first thing I need to do is to pick the body and say, okay, I want the background color to be black. I want a dark background. color, just say I want it to be dark. So I think then for this section, okay, let me just do the div. I'll do a class and I'll name this from container. So I'll just come here and just quickly do from underscore container. Then I'll say I want your background color. Let me just copy this to be white. So if I come to my browser, refresh, okay, now I want to center this at the center, so I'm just going to do width. And so I want the width to be, let's say, 40% of my screen. Then margin, I want it to be at the center, so I'll do 0 pixels, then auto. That will position my box at the center. So I'm going to refresh. Okay, so I need a little bit of placement, so I'll come here and do margin, then I'll do auto here, then left and right 0 pixels. Okay, let me just do margin top and bring that down a little bit. Let me do 100 pixels if 100 pixels is not too much. Okay, so then my form padding left, so padding left, let me do that to be 50 pixels. 50 pixels is not so much, so that I can adjust my content from the left. Okay, let me do 20% then, if that is not too much. Okay, so I need a little bit of padding at the top, so I think I'll just do my padding combine. So padding top, I want 10%. So then right should be 0. Don't want any padding on the right hand side. Bottom should be 10, then left should be 20. So that should create me a little bit of space. But I think the 10 I use is much, so let me just reduce it to something about 5, then 5. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to work on the div. So I want some space for my div. So I'm going to do from underscore container. Then I'm going to pick the div tag of that form, and I'm going to do margin bottom, so that there'll be a little bit of space between my input fields. So I'm going to do 10 pixels. So that should create the space I'm looking for. Hope I picked the right people. So if I come, okay, I think if I come back to my HTML, which is down, so I have form before I get to the div, so I have to indicate, but let me just do this. So every div, that should just, okay, that's good. I have to now do my button, so I failed to put a button here. Okay, so let me just do a div for it. Then inside this div, I'm going to have my button. So button, that would say register. So So I'm going to work on this button. So just copy this code, then change this to button. Then I don't need the margin, I just have to work with. Okay, I think I need a background. Just make that red. Then I need padding. So top and bottom, let me just use 2%. Then left and right, let me use 5%. So if I save this, check, I'm not adding too much information on that. I don't want border, so I'll just say border. Zero pixels, solid, or none should work for me. I hope that's okay. So I think this is okay just for what I want to work on. Okay, so okay, let me just change. So under the body, let me just do font family. Font family. And let me do cursive. So if I refresh, okay, I'm done with that part. Okay, for my action, I'll be using the same file. So register.php will undo the file, and for my method, I'm going to use post. So if I save this, scroll down. So at the bottom, after my section, that's where I'm going to put my PHP code to undo that form. Okay. So the first thing I need to do, for me to be able to get the information, like I have to do a name attribute. So this one will be full name. Then if I come here, I'll do name attribute. This will be email. Then if I come here, name attribute for phone number. So name attribute for phone. Then the last one is now for the password. So name attribute for the password. Okay. So then I need one more, name attribute for my button. So name for button register. Okay. Now I can now start writing my code. So the first thing I will do is to do an if statement. Then there's a function in PHP called isSet. Now isSet is used to indicate that a user clicks on the button. So when a user does not click on the button, then something should happen. So I'm saying if a user clicks on the button register, so that's what this is saying. If a user click on the button register, then I have some set of code that will run. Else, if the user does not click, let me just do echo, but in place of echo we are to redirect. Please fill the form in the registration. Okay. So now once a user clicks on the button, then I need to get what the person typed for first name, which is his full name. I'm going to do underscore post. So I'm going to select full name. Sorry, I failed to close this so that I don't get those errors. So then the next one should be email and underscore post, then email. Then the next one should be password. Is equals to underscore post. Then password. Then the last one is phone number. underscore post, then phone. I think that's what I used. Okay, now I've been able to get whatever the person is putting in that input field and store them in a variable. And the next thing now is now send this information to my database, which the user have filled. Now to do that, the first thing I need to do is to connect to the database. So I'm going to just do database underscore connection. Then there's a function in PHP called mysqli underscore connect. Now this function is used to connect to your database, and it takes 4 attributes. The first attribute is the host of the database, so I'm just going to do db host. That's the first one it takes. Then the second one is db username, the username of your database. Then the password of your database, so db password. Then the database you created, so database name. So these are the 4 attributes it takes: the database host, the database username, the database password, and the database name. So if I'm to follow this, my host would be localhost, because I'm doing this locally. Then my username, based on the software I'm using, XAMPP, is root. My password is empty. Then my database name should be so let me be sure of my database name by coming back to it. Internship. Okay, so database name internship. Like you know earlier, the database name is internship, but the tables are, there is students, then there is login. Okay, so I have successfully connected to my database, which is what I'm storing inside this variable. So to connect to the database, all have to be in strings, and they should be separated with a comma. So localhost root, then empty is the password, then the database name. So in this case, internship. Okay, so now I've connected to my database successfully. Now the next thing I need to do is to write a code that will send this information into my database. So let me just call this insert. So I want to insert information into my database. So to do this, I have to put them into a string. So I have to now write my select statement in a string. Now if I come here and come to SQL, you can see if I come to insert, I say insert into students and their columns, then after their value. So it's the same thing I'm going to do here. I'm going to come here and write insert into student. So student is the table name, which is where I want to send those information to. So then after that, I'm going to open my bracket. Then I'm going to put in these columns. So the only one I won't touch is the ID. So if I come back to students, the only column I won't touch is the ID. So I'll select the full name, the email, the password, and the phone number. So I'm going to do full name. Then I separate that with a comma. So full name, email, password, then phone. I hope is phone or phone number. Yeah, phone. Okay, so phone name is capital letter N. So the way your column are on your database is the same way they must be when you are trying to select them. So I've indicated the columns. Now I have to indicate what I want to store in them. So I'll do values, if that is correct. So if I come to my SQL to be very sure I'm not using the wrong words, so insert yes, values. So now the values I want to send into the database will now be inside a quote, a string. So I'll do the variable name. So the first one is full name, then the second one is email. So I'll do email. Then the third one I'll do, that should be password. And the last one would be phone number. then I close this. Okay, so the first thing to do is to connect to my SQL database. The next thing to do is to insert the information into the database. Now the next one, okay, I think let me just write this as comment. So connect to database. Then this will now be insert information, user information into database, user information into database. So then the next step after I've written the code I'll insert is to now run this code. So I'll do run code, or let me just say, yeah, run SQL code. Now for me to do that, okay, in PHP, connecting and writing the code I will insert in the database does not mean it automatically insert into database. You have to now say it, okay, I want you to insert this information into database. Now for you to do that, I'll call this SQL. So for me to do that, I'll do, so there's a function in PHP called my SQLi underscore, that should be underscore query. So if I'm spelling my query right, so my SQL underscore query is used to send information into the database. So I'm going to do this, then in here I'm going to do, okay, it takes two things. Sorry, it shouldn't be in quotes. It takes the database connection, in this case DB, then it takes the information I want to send into the database, so in this case insert. So these are the two quotes my SQLi, not SQL, my SQLi underscore query takes. It takes a value called the database connection, then the next one is the insert, and it has to be in this order. So if I run this code like this, it automatically inserts, but I want to be sure my code is being inserted. So for me to do that, I'll do an if statement that says if SQLi is equals to 1. Now when the information is sent into database, it comes back with a result of 1. When the information is not sent, it comes back with a result of 0. So I can just do echo. For now I'll do echo, but later we'll have to redirect to the login page for the user to be able to log in. So I'll do echo registration was successful. But if else, if the information was not sent, I'll say echo an error occurred. So let me just do an error occurred. So I can now stop this. Okay, I think so that's the code. So let's test run our code to see if there is no error. Time 4. So if I come, I think I did. So under register, this guy should be register, not login. Now because I'm using the same form, so I'm having cannot use is set on the result of an expression of you use null. So I'm having my first error. Let's see. So let's see name register. Okay, I think I've seen where the error is coming from. So inside insert, I have to do underscore post. Then I have to now indicate the register part. So register. So if I come back here, refresh, I think that should solve my problem. Yes. So let me fill some information. Full name, Oluwaseun. Email, jessawardtech@gmail.com. So phone number 08189714516, then password. Then if I click on register, now do I have any information sent? Okay, I think I should make this. Okay, let me be sure. I think because it's black, but let me be sure if the information was sent. Okay, so the information was not sent, so there's an error coming from our code. But first of all, let me work on this echo. So I'm going to put this in an h1 tag, then I'm going to also put this in an h1 tag. I'm going to close the h1 tag here. Then I'm going to do a style attribute on this, and I'm going to let your color be white. So color, no, this should be one quote each. So color should be red, no, white, so that because I'm working on black. Then the other one, let's copy the same thing for my other one. So then I close the h1 here. So if I save this, come back here, so come back to my registration, refresh. Am I having any code? I'm still not having any code, so let's see. Okay, I think let me remove the background I'm having here and be a little bit, just to be sure my error code is showing or not. So the background I did for the body, let me just take it out. Then color black, so that I don't have white interacting with white. Then color black. Okay, so I think that's that. So if I refresh, I shouldn't have, yeah. So I'm getting an error. So this is where the error is coming from. That was why I was not seeing what is happening. It's saying call to undefined function MySQL underscore query. So I think there's an error coming from my end on that query. So let me just quickly be sure I am using the right word. So it should be MySQL underscore query, except I'm not spelling the query correctly. But let me just be sure. Okay, I think my query was spelled wrongly. That should be UERY. So if I will run this and try to fill this information again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I scroll down, you can see registration was successful. So if I come to my database and check my students, then I have those information sent. So if I come back here, to here and register a new user, so I can just do Ben as the full name, email ben@gmail.com, phone number 090-333-22297, then password. Then if I click on register, for me to be sure registration was successful, if I come to my database, I can just easily do that. So you can see the information are sent. Now initially this is not how we are supposed to do our database. Our database is meant to be encrypted, but that is an advanced PHP class. If you go to the next stage, you'll be handling that. But for now, we'll work with what we have. Okay, so I've been able to, okay, I don't want to always echo either when they are successful or not. So I want to take the person to the login page. So for the login page, let me just copy the old code I have here, so that I can just use the same thing for my login. So if I come to login, Then so this should be login. Then if I put this, then I only need the email and the password. So email, I don't need the phone number. Likewise, do I need the full name? So I just need the password. So this will be login.php to undo the form. Then here will be login. So let me update this also to login. Okay, so I save. Now I've been able to, so I want to, when the user has finished registering, I want to take them to the login page so that they'll be able to log in to their website, to their platform. So for me to do that, I just have to come here. So instead of me echoing, I won't echo. I'll use a function in PHP called header. Now header is a function that is used for redirecting, and all you just have to do is to use the word location. The else have to be in capital letter, then you put colon, then in front of the colon you now put the file you want to go to. So in this case, login.php. So I'm saying I want you to take me to this location called login.php once the registration was done successfully. So if I save this and try to fill a different name, let me reload this so that I don't have any error. Okay, so if I fill the same, okay, let me fill Elijah, then Elijah at gmail.com 080332278. So then the password, then I can just submit. Now you can see when I register successfully, it brings me to the login page for me to log in. Let me just copy the O code I have on my register for the CSS. So let me return back the, okay, let me just take it out, no problem. So the O code I have for my CSS, I will just put them inside the login. So if I come to the head, I can just add that, which will change how my login will look like. Okay, so now if I come here, I should have 3 users registered successfully. So now I want to be able to log in into my account. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to write the code for that. So we've been able to send information into the database. So how are we able to get information from the database, probably for a user that wants to log in? So I'm going to come down after the section, do my PHP code. Then I'm going to, okay, let me just copy the register's PHP code so that it's easier. I won't have to start writing some of these codes again. So I'll just paste this here. So I'll take everything down to where I have my variables. I don't need them. Okay, so yeah, so this will be login. So I don't need full name and I don't need phone number. Okay, so I've been able to select what the user is typing in the email, then in the password, then I've been able to connect to my database. So what I will do next is to now select information from my database based on the person's email address. So I'm going to write SQL. So SQL, then I'm going to do equal to, then I'm going to do the same quote. So I will say select. Okay, if I come back to this, let's see how the select statement looks like so that it helps you refresh your memory. So if I come to select, you can see it's selecting ID, full name. But if I want to select all, you can see select all from students, where then I can now do ID is equals to. So in this case, I'll say select. So select all. So from student, then where email is equals to. Now in SQL query, you use just one equal to indicate if what is on the left is the same thing as what is on the right, unlike PHP that you used to So in SQL, 1 equals to does not mean an assignment operator. So where email address equals to, so this have to be in a quote, then the email. Then I can just end this. So I'm saying select all from students where I have an email address in the email column on my database that is the same thing with the one the user is typing in. So I have to now run my query. So this should be select not SQL. So select, then here I have to run my query. So I'll say run query. So I'm going to now say my SQLi underscore query. I'm spelling this right, so this shouldn't be a variable, sorry. So my SQLi underscore query takes two things, DB connection, then it takes my select. Okay, now I have to write an if statement that will check if truly the user exists. If it doesn't, I get an error. So then else. So I can just easily say, so if an error is here, yes, so I can bring you down. Then else, let me just use the echo email does not exist. So in this case, my if statement is checking if the user the person is typing is in our database. So if it is in our database, then we will be able to take the person to probably a dashboard, or just let the person know he has logged in successfully. But initially it's to take the person to a dashboard. But else, if it is not the same thing, if the email is not there, we let the person know email does not exist. Okay, so now for me to check, unlike login, unlike register, whereby I just have to do in my if statement here, if query is equals to 1. Now for login does not work like that. For me to check, I'll do my SQLi underscore norms underscore role. Now the reason why is this, then in here is a function. I'll now put my run query. So run underscore query, then I'll say is it equals to 1. Okay, so let me explain what this function is doing. Now because I'm saying select every column, so if I come here, come to my student, this will select everything here, and everything here is a role. So for me to pick a role in my SQL, there's a function in PHP called MySQL underscore norms underscore role. So to say if the role coming back from the database is just 1, it means the user exists. If it is 0, it means the user does not exist. If it is 2, it means there are 2 users with such email. If it is 4, it means there are 4 users. But I know definitely there are just 1 user. That's why I'm doing 1. Okay. So now if this person exists, I have to now check for the password. So I can just do the same thing again by saying select, but I don't want to do that. I want a way I can just easily get access to my password. So I'm going to create this, and I'm going to say role. Then I'm going to do my SQLi underscore. Okay, I think before I do that, let's just confirm. So let me just echo email exists, then save. Okay, I failed to do this. Okay, so let's try to know if this is working. So let me refresh. So my email, let me just pick an email I already have, and let me now do the password. So I can just click on login, on call function, my SQL underscore norm underscore rows. I think I have mixed this up. So I think this should be norm, then this should be rows, if I'm picking that right. So if I try that again, and this time around do Ben, then 1 2 3 4 5. So you can see email exists. So it's telling me there is no email. Okay, yes, you can see email exists. It means Ben is there. So where are my Ben? So this is ben@gmail.com. But I want to also confirm if the password is also there. Okay, so for me to do that, I can easily do select all from students where password, just for me to be sure the person is putting the right password, or I can just do this. Just easily do this. So I'm going to create a variable called role. Now I can name this anything I want. I can call them database colons. So meaning what I want to achieve is I want to pick each column. I told you they come in rows, but this time around I want to separate each column on their own. So I can just do this. I'm doing database columns. So I'll now do a function called my SQLi underscore fetch. If I'm spelling my fetch right, underscore ascore. So that should be 2s. So this will enable me pick each column. So I will now put in here run query, and I stop this. Now if I want to, for example, get what is on the database of the bent or whatever user I put, so let me just do password so I get every information. Then this time around I'll say okay, database co, then get me the password column on my database. So what this is doing is this is fetching me the database column on my database. So it's fetching me the password column on my database, only the password. Then I'm storing in a variable called password. So if I want to do for full name, I'll just do full name. So let me just separate them because I already have the password. So user password. Then let me call this user full name. Then I can just do db colon, then I'm picking the full name. So if I come down here, I can just do echoes to be sure I'm picking the right ones. User password, echo user password, then also echo user full name. So this will give me both the password and the full name. So if I come to my browser, come to my login and fill this information again. So if I do this time around, let me just pick just word. So just word tech. Then the password, let me be sure so that I'm using the right password. 1 2 3 4 5. So 1 2 3 4 5. So if I click on login, you can see that the password is showing here, then the full name is showing also. So that means I have each columns. So now I want to cross check their password, so I don't need the full name, just for you to see. So I'll now do if because I noticed probably I deleted more than. So I'll do if user password, meaning the password in the database, user password is the same thing with the password the person typed. Then I can redirect. Let me just do welcome to your account. Then I can go ahead and just easily add the person's. Okay, let me return the full name. So full name would now be db course full name. Then I can just close this. So I'll just say welcome, then in here I'll just let the person know full name, so that the person's full name is showing. Else I'll let the person know to echo incorrect password. So if I save this, then come to my browser, then fill this information again. So the same password 1 2 3 4 5. If I click on login, you see welcome to your account. Then if I use the same password and a wrong password, if I click on login, you can see incorrect password. So if I put a password an email address that does not exist on my database, so let me do gmail.com, password whatever it is. If I try to log in, I get email does not exist. So this is how I can send information to the database and also get information in the database. Thank you.